Good evening, everyone. My name is David Brott, and I'm pleased to be your MC this evening. We have an outstanding evening planned, filled with music, stories, and celebration. This is the 61st annual Negev dinner, and 2013 marks the 65th year since the founding of the modern state of Israel. As a courtesy to everyone, especially musicians performing, please turn off your cell phones or mute them. You can still use them to take pictures, but no sound, please. Dad, you too, wherever you are. I would like to introduce our table of honor, and I will ask them to stand as they're introduced. First, we are pleased that Sharon Azrieli Perez and Avi Perez are at our table of honor. You will all be hearing from Sharon later. Representing Karen Kayemet LeIsrael is Zev Kedem, Director, JNF KKL Fundraising Division, who has traveled from Israel to be with us tonight. Next are Neil and Linda Silvert. Neil is the president of the JNF in Hamilton. Then we have Elaine and Franklin Semkevitz. Franklin is the executive director of the Jewish National Fund for Regional Ontario. Then we have David and Cecile Steinberg, our honorary dinner chairs. Then also seated at the table of honor are Tom and Sasha Weiss, tonight's dinner co-chairs. Everyone but my grandmother, Elizabeth Webster. She is a dynamite lady. Welcome Frank and Judy Wilson. Frank is the national president of the Jewish National Fund of Canada. And finally, we're pleased to have the Deputy Consul General of Israel, Hadass Wittenberg Silberstein, representing the State of Israel. On behalf of the Jewish National Fund of Hamilton, we'd like to welcome you to this, the 61st annual Hamilton Negev dinner. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming our 2013 Negev dinner honorees, my parents, Ardith and Boris Brott. Thanks, everyone. And now it's our pleasure to introduce Sharon Azrieli Perez, accompanied by the National Academy Orchestra, to lead us in O Canada, followed by Hatikva.
Glorious and free, oh
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for a second. Charge your glasses. I'd like to make a toast, first of all, to the Queen, to the country of Canada, and to the state of Israel. Cheers. I don't have a glass, but cheers. Thanks very much. Please be seated. I would now like to call Rabbi Bernard Baskin, Rabbi Emeritus of Temple Anshe Sholem, to deliver the invocation, followed by the Hamotzi, the blessing over the bread. For your information, this is an auspicious year in that it is the 50th anniversary since Rabbi Baskin was Negev dinner honoree here in Hamilton.
Good evening. This evening we turn our thoughts to the land of Israel, a cradle of our faith. In all ages of our history and in all places of our wanderings, we have remembered it with love and longing. We recall with gratitude the vision of its pioneers, the devotion of its builders, and the courage of its defenders. In desolate spaces of a never-forgotten homeland, they built villages and towns, planted gardens, and established industries. We give thanks that out of the ashes of the death camps, Israel has arisen as a symbol of renewal, a haven where broken lives have been made whole again, an affirmation of our people's fidelity to the past and confidence in the future. Eternal God, guardian of Israel and redeemer of humanity, grant that Zion may be a safe shelter for its children and a light to the nations. Grant its people strength to build a land in which the vision of justice and peace shall be fulfilled for the good of all its inhabitants, b'mehera u'b'yameinu, soon and in our time. Amen. Will you join with me, please, in the familiar words of the Motzi as we prepare to break bread? Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lecha min haaretz. Amen.
I'd just like to acknowledge a number of special guests in the audience. Please hold your applause till the end. All right, 1 second. First, I'd like to recognize Ted McMeekin, MPP for Ancaster, Dundas, Flamborough, and Westdale. Pretty much everywhere I used to ride my bike as a kid. His Worship, the Mayor of Hamilton, Bob Ratina. The Deputy Consul General of Israel, Hadass Wittenberg-Silberstein. Christine Williams, Crossroads Television Systems. Larry Levin, President, President Shalom Village and 2012 Negev Dinner honoree, along with his wife Jackie. Jeanette O'Leary, CEO Shalom Village. Lowell Richter, sorry, just say the applause to the end, please. Lowell Richter, co-president of the Jewish Community Center. Cindy Richter, president of Beth Jacob Synagogue. Lance Davis, executive director, J&F Toronto. We'd also like to acknowledge a number of members of the clergy who've joined us this evening, including Rabbi Bernard Baskin, Rabbi Elliot Feldman, Headmaster of Hamilton Hebrew Academy, Rabbi Daniel Green, and of Adaz Israel, Rabbi Aaron Sullivan from Shalom Village, and Rabbi Daniel Selsberg of Congregation Beth. We also have Reverend Allison Barrett from the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. We'd like to acknowledge a number of former Negev Dinner honorees present with us this evening. We ask you all to hold your applause until the end, please. As we call out your name or your family's name, please stand and be recognized. Rabbi Bernard Baskin, the family of Rabbi Mordecai Green, William Morris, the family of the late Chester Waxman, Bernie Katz, Marnie Alexander, wife of the late Lincoln Alexander, Cece Schreiber, Gerald Sway, Stan and Liz Tick, David Steinberg, the family of the late Arthur Weiss, the Loweth family, Cuppy and Elaine Katz, Dr. Peter George, Holocaust survivors, Anne and Mark Mandel, Tom and Sasha Weiss, Shalom Village, Hilton and Shirley Silberg, Phil Rosensheen, Jackie and Larry Levin. Thank you. Normally at this time, we would ask our MP, David Sweet, to bring greetings on behalf of the Government of Canada, but David will be arriving a little later. As a result, I would like to ask the Honourable Ted McMeekin, MPP representing the riding of Ancaster, Dundas, Flamborough, and Westdale, and the Minister of Community and Social Services, to bring a message from the Government of Ontario. David?
Well, good evening, everybody. It's great to be here. Great to see so many smiling faces. On behalf of the Honourable Kathleen Wynne, the Premier of Ontario, I want to bring greetings from the province of Ontario to the Negev dinner. I understand this is the 61st celebration of helping to make flowers bloom in the desert, which is always a good thing to do. And as someone who has had the privilege of representing this great city for many years, I'm absolutely delighted to join in your tribute to Ardith and Boris Brott, two of Hamilton's most illustrious citizens. Right. It's no exaggeration to say that Boris Brott, perhaps more than any other individual, has taken Hamilton to the world stage as a cultural center. His dedication to helping young people learn to appreciate and play music, no less than his own musical brilliance, have made him a celebrated figure around the world. And Ardith, a critically acclaimed author in her own right, is the organizational genius who helped make the Brott Music Festival Canada's largest non-profit orchestral music festival. And she shepherded the National Academy Orchestra of Canada, the country's only professional training orchestra. The Brotts are always a delight to work with, and I'm always proud, as I'm sure you are, to claim them as neighbors and part of our community heritage. They set an example for all of us. Boris and Ardith, thank you for all you've done for this community and the world around. And on behalf of the province of Ontario, my thanks to the Negev dinner for once again giving us a chance to come together as a community to honor our best. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. McMeekin. And now I'd like to call on our mayor, Bob Ratina, to bring greetings on behalf of the City of Hamilton. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. As I learned years ago from Paul Hanover, Shalom Abim Zesech, and a few other Yiddish words from the great old Harry Harris Jewish Hour that I listened to as a kid. And I know Bubby and Zadie got in there somewhere as well. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, welcome to all of our guests, and especially our visitors from Israel. I'm hoping to make that trip myself in the not-too-distant future. But welcome indeed to Hamilton. Right now, the city is in the midst of commemoration of the 200th anniversary of the War of 1812. And 100 years ago, or 200 years ago in 2013, we had the Battle of Stony Creek. And it was so interesting because those battles forged our identity as Canadians. We did the formal paperwork in 1867, but during those battles we realized that we were a people different from Americans, different from British. But the Israeli experience was the complete opposite, because the Israeli experience was 2 millennia of history and coming back to fight again to occupy the land of Israel. So it's interesting to compare the two. But the other thing that's happening now are the D-Day commemorations, the World War II events. And those soldiers who fought in the Second World War fought the precursor battles of the battles that would be fought for a new Israel. And that meant the defeat of the Nazi German armies. And so Jews from all over the world fought those battles. And I just read in the New York Times that there's a commemoration service of Russian Jewish veterans in the United States who said, it wasn't really that great there. We just saw Fiddler on the Roof at Stratford and saw the replay of the pogroms and the agonies that those folks went through. But they said the alternative was so horrible that we had to fight for that victory. And so did Hamiltonians. And 70 years ago, on May the 17th, a young man, 22 years of age, from James Street North, where his parents had a furniture store, boarded a Lancaster bomber in the famous Dam Buster raids. His name was Abram Garshowitz. And he and his friend Frank Garbus were selected for one of the most critical bombing exercises ever attempted, which was the Dam Busters raid. And here's the Garshowitz family, whose store was between Patsy's Ringside and Corsini's grocery store on the east side of James Street between Barton and Mulberry. And they had a number of children, but one of them, Abram, volunteered, signed up with the RCAF, was selected to go on that mission, boarded that aircraft on May the 17th, 70 years ago. And that plane, all the crew crashed. They were all killed. Abram Garshowitz remains a hero for Canada, for Hamilton, and for the ultimate freedom that Israeli found in their wars to establish a new country. So I want everyone to understand that it's very important for us, and as I think I'm the only mayor in Canada that has a senior advisor of military heritage and personnel and protocol. And so we feel it's important, and we want to highlight that. Now to today's event, which is the celebration of our honored guests, the Brats. And you know, when Boris came to Hamilton, and this has to be remembered, the Philharmonic Orchestra was not amateurish, but it was not a fully professional orchestra. And Boris elevated that orchestra to full professional. Chuck Mangione recorded with the musicians that Boris Brott put together and created a hit album on Mercury Records. At one point a few years ago, I noticed an ad in Variety saying Chuck Mangione had a robbery and some of the master tapes were stolen, and he desperately wanted those tapes back because they represented the best work that he had ever done. And that work was The Land of Make-Believe and all those other great Chuck Mangione hits. And it was recorded with the Hamilton Philharmonic Orchestra with Boris Brott conducting. I promise you I won't be much longer, but I got to get to this. And then, of course, Chuck Dellenbach and Ronald Rahm decided that they would bring their little new brassy idea and become the artists in residence with the Hamilton Philharmonic Orchestra. The world knows now about the Canadian Brass. And we lay big claim to them, and I'll never forget doing an interview with Chuck Dellenbach, Boris, from China. They were the first orchestra from the West to go to China. This is the kind of excitement that was happening when Boris Brott came to Hamilton and elevated our Philharmonic to new heights. And then, of course, he had to have someone to keep him in order and keep him organized. And it's really wonderful when Boris and Ardith are working with the city. It's kind of like good cop, bad cop. And I'll leave you to figure who the bad cop is. But the work gets done. It's a remarkable couple. And so, Boris, I have to say, and these are my concluding remarks, we had the contest to see who was the greatest Hamiltonian of all. And it came down to Lincoln Alexander and Mr. Arthur Wise. And Mr. Alexander, whose wife Marnie is here tonight. Hello, Marnie. Great to see you. By that much over Mr. Wise. And unfortunately, we have lost both of these great Hamiltonians. So, Boris, you are the greatest living Hamiltonian because you came third. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are delighted to have the Deputy Consul General of Israel, Hadass Wittenberg-Silberstein, present with us this evening to bring greetings on behalf of the State of Israel. Hadass?
Good evening, everyone. Distinguished guests, dear friends. It is my great pleasure and honor to represent the State of Israel this evening and to bring greetings on behalf of the Consulate General of Israel. Tonight we are celebrating the 61st annual Negev dinner of Hamilton Jewish National Fund and Israel's 65th year of independence. I commend everyone involved in making it happen. I join you this evening in honoring and congratulating two exceptional individuals, Ardith and Boris Brott. Each has made a significant contribution to the betterment of the community and society. Together, they have demonstrated great involvement and tremendous achievements, and I admire their request to allocate funds toward the development of a music conservatory in the central Arava in Israel, a somewhat remote region. May both continue to go from strength to strength. This evening, you are giving special recognition to the principled and just approach taken by the Canadian government with respect to Israel. At a time when such a stand is not popular in certain international circles, and at a time when a double standard is often applied to Israel, we truly appreciate leaders like yours. We often associate Israel with great heroes like Herzl, Ben-Gurion, and Rabin, and major issues and concepts like history, religion, holy sites, conflict, and terror. But the story of Israel is also the story of millions of contributions, often not less heroic or generous, of decent people, not only from Israel itself, but also from around the world. Modern Israel is a little of everything. It is a vibrant democracy and a thriving high-tech society of about 8 million people, and at the same time has a very ancient roots. Israel is ranked #1 in the world for the quality of its scientific institutions, and in the top 10 for many other key measures of economic, scientific, and innovative success. Israel is the home of inventions which transform and improve the life of people across the globe, and is a source of pride and strength for Jews everywhere. Our Israel is not just an inheritance to hang on a wall and to admire, but it's the national canvas of the Jewish people, of each and every one of us can make his or her mark. In that sense, the JNF and its supporters have played a central role in building this modern miracle. From the early days of reclaiming the swamps to the high-tech innovations and technologies which power our economy today, the JNF has been a pioneer and a leader in carrying Israel forward. The JNF has also served as a bridge between Israel and supporters of all faiths around the world, and there is no place where this is done better than here in Canada. I would like to commend everyone involved in this great organization, lay leaders, volunteers, and professionals for their dedication and meaningful contribution to the well-being of our state and society. For us, the formal representative of Israel, Canada is a great place to serve. Our two countries have much in common. We both share the same democratic values, common interests, and strong political, economical, cultural, and social ties. We are both forms of immigrant societies, and both have complementary strengths and interests, particularly in the fields of science and technology, innovation, and energy. Israel has never been more relevant to Canada than we are today. We have collaborated on agriculture, water technologies, brain research, and development of medical devices, and many other innovations. We're working constantly to enhance those ties for the benefits of both countries, and we appreciate the support we receive from our many friends here in promoting this work. I want to thank you all for your support, solidarity, generosity, and goodwill, and wish you a successful evening. I would like to encourage you to continue to celebrate Israel, visit Israel, and make your own meaningful contribution. I'm now pleased to invite you to watch a short video present some of Israel's impressive achievements since its establishment. The video speaks for itself, but I think you'll agree with me that this charming mini-documentary delivers a strong and powerful message. Thank you and good evening.
amazing. It's no surprise that the Jewish National Fund, or Keren Kayemet LeIsrael, has played an important role in the development of the state. And so it's my pleasure to introduce two very important people, Zev Kedem, Director of International Fundraising, and Frank Wilson, President of the Jewish National Fund of Canada.
Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful setting tonight. Very, very impressive. It's always fun coming to Hamilton. I've been here a few times in the past number of years, and unfortunately it interferes with travels around the country on behalf of JNF, but tonight I am with you, and I'm really looking forward to see the entertainment that's coming up afterwards. Anyhow, welcome everyone to our annual Hamilton Negev dinner. As president of the Jewish National Fund of Canada, I'm honored to have joined you here this evening. I look around the room and I see many familiar faces from over the many years that I've been here. We become friends through our mutual passion, the love for our beloved state of Israel. We know that if we want to support the state of Israel, there is no better venue to help build Israel than through the Jewish National Fund. We're here this evening to pay tribute and to thank Ardith and Boris Brott for becoming our honorees this year. The Jewish National Fund is honored to give Ardith and Boris the recognition for building and developing a regional music conservatory and recital hall in central Arava. Now, I noticed the mayor alluded to certain dates, the War of 1812, and other significant times in our lives, some not too pleasant. But this year is really, truly an interesting year for the world, and especially for North America. It is 150 years ago this year that Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator and orator, gave his great Gettysburg Address. And that said, a democracy is of the people, by the people, and for the people, and they shall not perish from this earth. That is so defining of our state of Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East. And with that train of thought, our history at JNF goes back 112 years, when our founder, Theodor Herzl, set up a global fund to collect donations to begin purchasing parcels of land to form the Jewish state. Since 1948, we have continued to work with the government of Israel and our friends from all over the world to continue to build and maintain our Jewish homeland. Our work at JNF is vast, but we are well known for many things, including the 240 million trees we planted. But there's so much more to the story. Thanks to the support received from our offices in 45 countries around the world, JNF Foresters and Fire Service maintain over 370,000 acres of land and forests. We've built 250 water reservoirs that now account for over 50% of all the water for Israel's agriculture. We have built 4,500 miles of road in forests and for security purposes, unfortunately. Some carved right out from the mountains to shelter residents from terrorist gunfire. We built many schools and residences for Israel's most vulnerable citizens, including special needs children. Our educational programs also touch children in over 2,100 schools annually. We have developed 700,000 acres throughout Israel just for new communities, and that's been over the past decade. JNF Canada has completed close to 100 projects spanning 100% of the state of Israel. The strength of Israel has always come from her citizens. That's you and I. And from dedicated supporters in the diaspora. We cannot do JNF's important work in Israel without all of you here. So I'm here to say thank you for your continued support, and with your help, I truly believe our best years are ahead of us. I look forward in continuing to enhance our friendship and together building a strong Israel through JNF for generations to come. Happy 65th anniversary, Israel. Am Yisrael Chai. Toda Rabah.
Shalom, everybody. I can guarantee you one thing, my English will not be as good as Frank or any other of the speakers. I'm very excited to be here. First of all, it's the first time for me to be in Hamilton. And it's exciting, really. It is exciting. I already met some wonderful people. I told them, in my senses, I know how wonderful they are. And to see 400 people sit together and celebrate for something in the state of Israel, it's exciting. And this is the first thing. The second thing is for the honorees, Erdit and Boris Brod. I was the founder of a cultural center in the Central Galilee. So I'm very much connected to music and different cultural events. I'm very much honored to be a guest in your dinner. And I feel immediately close to you because music is something that combines people together. And it's beautiful to come and to celebrate for you guys, for everything you did. And I read about your achievements, and it's enlightening and really give a good feeling. Kol hakavod. That's about this. I would like to mention, of course, Frank A. Wilson, our national president, Neil Silbert, the president of Hamilton, JNF, Sasha and Tommy Wise, co-chairs, but also past honorees, Frank Simkovich, executive director, and all the committee and the volunteers, and especially you, the people who celebrate here. Without you, we couldn't make it. Frank told you about JNF. What is JNF? I won't elaborate, and Frank Simkovich asked me not to say the same things. I'm not going to say the same things. I'm just going to tell you that most people relate to JNF KKL, to the organization, as an organization that relates to afforestation. I'm sure that some of your parents or grandparents raise money to the Blue Box, to the Pushke, to plant trees in Israel. Some people relate to the organizations via the reservoirs and water. And some today relates to the organization by the ecology aspect of the organization. But this evening is an example to what really JNF KKL is. KKL JNF is an organization that gives to the people and to the needs of Israel, and not only in the subject or the areas that I spoke about before. The project of tonight is a cultural center. This is not a musical center, a conservatory. This is not the mainstream of the project that we are dealing with, but this is a real need for the Arava. And when we have an honoree that connects to music and connects to this kind of events, we, the organization in Israel, will find a solution, and we will color the project, and all the funds that you will raise here will go 100% to this project. And when I say 100%, I can say even 125. And why? Because our organization in Israel will put the hand in the pocket and will add 25% to the total donations that will be raised to this conservatory in order that it will be finished and people will enjoy the place. I don't read my speeches usually because I like to connect to the moment, and I like to say a short word about the protest outside. I want to tell you something. We just spoke that Israel is a democracy. Don't you find it a contradiction Do you think that an organization like JNF-KKL, who is a non-governmental organization, can expel people, can take the land from people? Never. In a democracy with such a justice system like we have in Israel, it's even not conceivable. You can't even relate. But they don't care, of course. I thought they protest against President Assad, who killed hundreds of thousands of people over there. But no, they come to protest against Israel, that if someone is being hurt, we have immediately a committee to check why, so, and so on. Another word I like to say about it, I'm continuing to Negev dinner in Winnipeg. And let me share with you what is the project there. They honor a group that tried to help for peace between Jews and Arabs. And they choose a school in Jerusalem. And I personally went to see the project. This is a school for disabled children, very hard condition. The name is Ilanot. And 1/3 of the students are Arabs, more than the percentage in the community. And it's so expensive. One of them is coming from Rahat in the Negev, every day with special car, back and forth, special treatments, to come to say on an organization that supports something like this, that it's an organization of racism or something like this. It's illogical. I wanted to share it with you just because you live here and you many times don't know the realities in Israel. And the realities are much better than what that you can see over here. I would like to add something about the Arava. The Arava is a faraway area. I checked in the statistics of Israel. In 2010, there were 2,700 people in the Arava, farmers mostly. Today, there are 3,200, almost 20% growth. How come they grow so much? They live so far away from any other settlements. Because we support them. And when I say we, it's you and us and everybody else that can give a hand. And many of the young people from the Arava go back to live there. If not, the parents are getting older, and it's not good for the community in the Arava, the farmer community. So the young generation is coming back, and this is so beautiful to see, because many of them are engineers. They can make living in Tel Aviv. They can live in the north. They go back to the deserted area of the Arava in order to continue to grow vegetables. 60% of the vegetables of Israel that being exported come from these isolated places in the Arava, real oasis. And your conservatory make it happen, and I tell you why. Young generation will not come to a place without culture. They will want their children to study and to learn and to be cultural people. And that's the importance of your donation. And on behalf of the people of the Arava, I like to say thank you. I'm visiting there a lot, and they ask me, they knew that I'm coming, they asked me on their behalf to thank you, to thank the honorees, and to thank everybody, all the supporters that gathered here tonight. As I said, we will celebrate the opening in a year time. They start to work soon. And on behalf of them, behalf of the State of Israel, on behalf of our organization in Israel, thank you very much for this evening, for everybody, and enjoy. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're enjoying your dinner. We'd like to ask your indulgence for a few minutes as we welcome the president of the Jewish National Fund of Hamilton, Neil Silvert, to say a few words. Come on up, Neil.
Just what I love doing, interrupting people's dinner. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 61st Negev dinner of Hamilton, Ontario. It's been a tremendous evening so far, and I can tell you that the next 14 hours are going to be some of your best time in the world. I'm not going to repeat what's been said so far, but I do want to tell you that it is truly an honor to be part of the Jewish National Fund, Karen Kayemet LeYisrael. It does extraordinary work, as you've seen already tonight, and you will see throughout the evening. That's the part that you hear about and you read about and you can live. What you don't necessarily hear about is the hard work of the staff and the committed volunteers that we have in this tremendous community. We have a phenomenal board of directors of the Hamilton Jewish National Fund. And I would ask all of you to give them applause. They know who they are. It says in my notes, but there's too many names to mention, but I must tell you that if you get a chance to join our board, if you are inclined, you will also get a chance to meet all of them, and we would welcome you. And I say Toda Rabbah to every one of them, and their names are listed in the book that you have this evening. I don't usually try to single out any one person because all of us have greatness. But tonight I would like to single out a man who's been a JNF volunteer for 45 years. And he has single-handedly raised millions of dollars for the JNF. That is our own Mr. JNF, and I'm going to ask him to stand, please, Mr. Phil Rosenshine. Thank you, Phil. Bless you. There's a picture of Phil up on the screen. I'll let you figure out which one is he. You know, a number of years ago, Phil received a very, very prestigious award from the JNF, the Bernard Bloomfield Award. And I think that Phil has been recognized by the JNF in every way possible. In fact, he, along with his dear friend, the late Ben Sauter, were Negev dinner honorees in 2010. So Phil, Mazel Tov, Yasha Koyach, and I have your cards ready for next year. Does everybody agree that this room looks absolutely fabulous? I would like to thank, on behalf of the JNF and all of you, Anna McClusker, who's here. Anna, can you take a bow? She designed this room. She's hiding, but she's right over there. I would also like to take a moment to thank Lauren Lieberman and the Hamilton Convention Center staff for the work that they are doing tonight. Please give them a round of applause. And while we're on the topic of hardworking people, let me acknowledge the work being done by our own JNF office here in Hamilton. This is a fantastic group of people headed by Roberta Katz. Roberta and Susie Polgar are just absolutely the leaders of this group. I'd ask them to stand. Please give them a round of applause. And if there's anything you don't like about tonight, I know that's not possible, but if you don't, please see the two of them only. We also want to welcome a newcomer to the JNF staff, Deborah Morrison. She's tremendously helpful, and we thank her for jumping in and hitting the road. Running. Well, I agree. But do you realize that none of this really happens without the fine direction, the hard commitment, the tremendous work ethic of our own executive director, Frank Simkowitz. Without him, we don't have this. Frank, take a bow. Stand up. And of course, more than that is his beautiful bride, Elaine, who lets him do it and stands by him. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been such a privilege to volunteer for the JNF. I want to encourage each and every one of you to volunteer in any organization that excites you, including the Jewish National Fund. There is no better use of your time. You will enjoy it. If you would like to be involved in JNF, please see myself or Frank or any of the board members. One last thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to learn the truth of Israel, the truth of what is happening in Israel. We read everything, and when you read everything in the media, you're pretty well reading nothing. So I must encourage you, go to Israel. Take a JNF mission. Go with any other organization that you want that goes to Israel. But if you go on a JNF mission, you will come home understanding the truth, the beauty, the wisdom, and the miracle of not only that tiny, brilliant, beautiful country, but the work that you're doing just by being here tonight. So I encourage you, please, go to Israel. So, in closing, I started out by saying to you that we'll be seeing more of the work done by JNF in Israel and abroad. So I will finish by asking you to turn your attention to the screen for a short video. And a little later, you will see some of the myriad of projects undertaken by communities across Canada over the last few years. Thank you to each and every one of you for attending. God bless you, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
I'd like to ask Rabbi Daniel Green, spiritual leader for the Adass Israel Synagogue, to lead us in the Birkat Hamazon, or the grace after the meal. Rabbi?
It's an honor to stand here this evening at the JNF Negev dinner. JNF as the primary force in the establishment of the State of Israel. It's an honor to stand here in support of Israel, and it's an honor to stand here with my good friends, the honorees, Boris and Ardith. I just want to make one point this evening. The Jewish people have waited 2,000 years. We waited 2,000 years not only to return to Israel, but we've waited 2,000 years to hear the song of joy and the song of peace be heard in that land. And by us joining together here this evening, in honor of this great couple and in honor of this great project, this is the fulfillment of these ancient dreams and these prophetic visions that we have had. Boris and Ardith create harmony together. They have created harmony throughout the world, and the celebration now is that harmony is being brought to the land of Israel. May we all be able to enjoy this joy that they project out to the world. We will now recite together the Birkat HaMazon, the grace after meals. And for those that can join together in this song, kindly join together with me. Rabbotai nevarech, Yehi Shem Adonai mavarach mi'ata v'yad olam b'reshus maranan Rabbotai nevarech Eloheinu shechalnu mishalom. Baruch Eloheinu shechalnu mishalom tova chayinu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hazan et ha'olam kulo b'tuvo v'chein b'chesed u'vrachamim hu noten lechem lechol basar ki le'olam achasto ובטובו הגדול תמיד לא חסר לנו ואל יחסר לנו מזון לעולם ועד בעבור שמו הגדול כי הוא אלעזרנו מפרנס לכל ומיטיב לכל ומכין מזון לכל בריאותיו אשר ברא ברוך אתה אדוני Hazan et hakol. Nodeh lecha Hashem v'Yitzchak. Dami li'olam va'ed ka'katuv v'yachalta v'savata u'virachta et Adonai Elohecha al ha'aretz davar asher natan lach baruch ata Adonai al ha'aretz v'al hamazon. Eloheinu avinu reinu zuneinu parnaseinu v'chalkolenu v'arvichenu v'achlanu Adonai merkot tzarateinu v'noat tatzricheinu Adonai Eloheinu lo lidei matnat basar v'adam v'lo lidei avatam kim liadacham le'ah patucha kadosh v'rachava shonei v'shenikadlen olam va'ed Uvenei Yerushalayim Kodesh Imheira v'yameinu Baruch Ato Adonai Bonei Barachamav Yerushalayim Amen. Baruch Ato Adonai Lemelech Haolam Elavinu Malkeinu Adirenu Boreinu Goleinu Yotzreinu Kadoshenu Kadosh Yaakov Ro'en Reis Melotov B'Tzil Kosher B'chol Yom V'Yom Hu heitivu meitivu yetiv lanu uglam lanu ugam leinu ugam leinu la'ad chenu chesed l'rachamim l'ravachatzol l'vatzlacha bracha v'yishua nechama parnasa v'chalkala v'rachamim v'chaim v'shan l'kol tov u'mikol tuv l'lam yichasreinu. Adonai v'rechatamo v'shalom. Mazel tov, and congratulations again.
I'd like to invite my favorite band back up on stage, the National Academy Orchestra. Please welcome them. I'd now like to turn your attention to the screens as we show a short video on the project being supported by the proceeds from tonight's dinner, which will bear my parents' name.
The Central Arava is the most peripheral area in Israel. It's actually 130 kilometers from the nearest city or town. When people first wanted to go to the Arava and they went to the government said, don't bother. It's a desert, you can't grow anything, you can't do anything. And Ben-Gurion really believed in these two people who wanted to go to the desert and make the desert blossom. Because the desert is such an inspiring place. It's such an amazing place. And it's also very peaceful and quiet. So what we really need is music to fill the silence. As a council, we try to give to our community all the things that they might have gotten in a city, all the things that we don't want them to feel like they have to pass on anything. We don't want them to feel it's a sacrifice in any way to live in the Arava. So the reason that we really need this conservatory is for our children to be able to play music and to learn music. Right now we have 800 families, which means we only have 3,300 people in the Central Arava. From our community, we have 170 people who right now are very active in music. We have groups of musicians, we have groups of children and groups of adults that want to play together and right now don't have the ability to do that. We play all kinds of instruments, if it's piano, if it's percussion. We have also even accordion. We have someone who's really very good in accordion. You know accordion?
I'm happy as a mother that he found himself in music, because I think music is very important for life. And I think it's the way to communicate with other people, not like my English. You can communicate with music very good, with everybody, with people from Jordan, from Egypt, from everywhere. It's the ultimate, how you say, language.
This is the main auditorium. We have room for 415 people here. This area is where we have the library. Over here we're planning to build a music center.
The rehearsal room is the most important room of the conservatory because, first of all, it's the biggest, so that's why it's so important. Besides that, right now, anyone who wants to play in the group, they can't. The other rooms are a bit too small to play in groups, in bigger groups. And that's one of the things that we'd really like to develop.
Talking about JNF, we think about reservoirs, agriculture, and research and development. But I think in this case, we can see that the JNF is involved in everything that we're doing in our lives here.
I would like to thank all of you for being here and for helping us to build the conservatory. And once the music conservatory is ready, it would be an honor for us, Boris, if you come and conduct and take a part in some of our music events. Thank you for bringing music into our lives. Thank you and have a great night.
When I was 8 years old, I saw my very first James Bond movie, You Only Live Twice, City TV late movies. I remember being shocked as a profound realization hit me like a bucket of water. My father is a spy. The clothes, the travel, the little suitcases, it added up. He could speak 6 different languages that I knew of, and always had the latest cell phone technology. An endless stream of international dignitaries, diplomats, astronauts, and other musicians, also carrying little cases, were always staying at our house. They were also respectful, and most of them were pretty nervous. It made perfect sense. Shortly after this shocking realization, I came to another one. I could never tell anyone in the interest of national security. I've always been proud of my father. My whole life, I've been approached by people telling me how much he means to them, how he's inspired them, and how important his work is. After that night, whenever I heard that kind of thing, I'd smile and think, buddy, you don't know the half of it. I still do. But these days, the half of it I think about is my mother. Her kindness, compassion, foresight, and cool-headed interventions have kept my father in the business of being my father for longer than most of you realize. Her professional accomplishments... Love you, Mom. Her professional accomplishments aren't as well known, but they have made us all just as proud. On top of all that, she's kept our family together during the rough times and helped us appreciate how lucky we are during the good times. On behalf of my whole family, I want to thank them both for being remarkable people in the public eye and behind the curtain. And I want to thank you all for coming here tonight to honor them. Now I'd like to ask Tom and Sasha Wise, tonight's dinner co-chairs, to come up and say a few words about my folks. Please be nice.
Distinguished table of honor, worthy rabbis, honorable members of our local, provincial, and federal government, ladies and gentlemen. Before paying tribute to our honorees, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Phil Rosenshine again, our Olympic gold medalist for 45 plus years of volunteering for the JNF and many other charitable causes. Phil, this evening you received another well-deserved recognition for all that you have done. Your tireless effort on behalf of the JNF, your energy, your tenacity, and ongoing enthusiasm is legendary, and the volunteering example you set is without equal. Phil, we all congratulate you very much. Yashir Koach. I also want to thank Hadass Wittenberg-Silberstein, Israel's Deputy Consul General, for her meaningful words describing the outstanding achievements of our state of Israel during its brief but extraordinary 65 years. We all take pride in Israel's accomplishments and are extremely thankful to be able to celebrate Israel's special 65th anniversary tonight. The video was excellent, and I know was greatly enjoyed by everyone here. Thanks a lot. When Sasha and I were first approached about being the dinner co-chairs this year, we knew we could not say no. There were a number of reasons, but two specific ones made it very easy for us to say yes. Aside from being very flattered to be asked to be dinner co-chairs, we are proud and fortunate to have been dinner chairs 7 times since 1984. We knew what was expected and what would be involved. Second, and far more important, was that we were being given the opportunity to pay tribute to Ardith and Boris, 2 wonderful people who Sasha and I and our entire family count as our special friends.
Dear Ardith and Boris, we want you both to know that Tommy and I are honored and very proud to serve as co-chairs of this wonderful community recognition for your lifetime of commitment to your families and friends, for your ongoing activities for the betterment of our local, provincial, and national communities, and for your ongoing support for the State of Israel. This is our opportunity, on behalf of the community, to thank you for all of your contributions over the years. You are both an example and inspiration to all of us.
Ardith, in addition to your varied philanthropic and community involvements, you manage the Brat Music Festival and all of Boris's other enterprises. But that wasn't enough. You somehow felt compelled to write children's books. Not one, but many. Boris, it wasn't enough for you to be the driving force behind the Brat Music Festival and the National Academy Orchestra and the McGill Chamber Orchestra and other established, well-recognized music enterprises. You have added the New West Symphony in Los Angeles to your list of community projects.
Ardith and Boris, we've known you for over 25 years, and early on we discovered how passionate you both are about everything, whether it's organizing all the details for innumerable events, teaching young musicians important business skills, or performing in front of the Pope and the cardinals at the Vatican. You are both constantly working on something new. I don't know where you get all your energy, but I know that every person here would have a tough time keeping up with you. Many of you may know that last month Boris played at the Vatican, but did you know it was on very short notice and a score he had never done before? Notwithstanding, he was able to do a great job and did Hamilton proud. Was Boris nervous and preoccupied with that challenge? Absolutely. Maybe doing new things and surrounding himself with enthusiastic young talent is his secret to looking vibrant and young.
You're a terrific couple and fun to be around. Neither of you have forgotten your heritage. Boris, you come from Montreal and a traditional Jewish background. And Ardith, you are part of a deeply entrenched Hamilton family going back generations. You both care deeply about people, whether it's here in Hamilton or wherever you travel. Boris, you have always been about making sure that the people you meet around the world are exposed and understand the power of music. Ardith, you ensure that wherever he goes and whatever he does, Boris is fully cognizant of the issues, the challenges, and the opportunities that present themselves to him. Boris, we are so lucky that you found Ardith, the love of your life in Hamilton, and that you both subsequently chose to make Hamilton your home base.
Together you make a formidable couple, perfectly complementing each other, yin and yang. Boris, you have both devoted your boundless energy and passion for a multitude of interests to your wife, your family, and the local and international community. Ardith, you are truly a woman of valor, as described in the book of Proverbs. You set the tone of love, spirituality, and growth for your entire family and for all those around you.
Our hats are off to both of you. Congratulations and best wishes for continued success and good health. Mazel tov. We love you both. Stand up would be a good idea. And now, we would like to ask our honorees to come up to the podium to receive their citation. We would also like to ask the other members of the JNF KKL family to join us as well. Frank Wilson, Zeev Kadem, Neil Silvert, and Frank Simkowitz, please come up. The community of Hamilton gathered at the Negev dinner on the second day of June 2013, corresponding to the 24th day of Sivan 5773, to express its sentiments of affection and gratitude and to pay tribute to Ardith and Boris Brott for their community leadership, for their integrity and diligence, for their achievements in the arts, and for their support of the State of Israel. The Jewish National Fund of Canada will fund the rehearsal and recital hall at the Regional Music Conservatory in the Central Arava, as evidence of its sincere respect and appreciation, thus linking their names in perpetuity with the land of Israel. Signed by myself, Sasha, Frank Simkowitz, Neil Silvert, Frank Wilson, and Josh Cooper. Congratulations.
I truly am so touched. You have no idea. Thank you so much.
Very deserving.
We need a picture with the...
Oh, we need a picture.
What an extraordinary evening. I would like to thank our 3 children, Alexandra, David, and Benjamin, and their spouses and partners for growing and evolving into such remarkable and accomplished young people. My mother and my 2 grandmothers for being such strong and progressive female role models. My friends and colleagues who work with me and keep me humble. To our dear friends who have chaired this beautiful evening, Sasha and Tommy Wise, and Sil and David Steinberg, as well as this terrific JNF committee here in Hamilton. Historically, I'd like to thank the philosopher and writer, Theodor Herzl, for daring to have the vision of Israel, for imagining a country where democracy and the rule of law would flourish, and it has. And to Israel's first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion, who in 1948 took hold of a fledgling country and with determination, vision, and sacrifice laid the groundwork for the remarkable country we have today. And now, to my extraordinary husband, Boris, who has brought music and creativity, grace and wonder to every community he has touched. And lastly, to my great-great-great-grandfather, Joseph Webster, who in 1846 got on a boat in England, sailed across the Atlantic, and settled here at Webster's Falls. For without him, I would not be living and working in this city that I love. Thank you.
It's tough to follow that. I want to thank Ardith for making me possible, because without her enthusiasm and support, her energy, her intellect, truly, I might never have stayed in this community, and I'm so glad I did. I'd like to thank our children, Alex, David, and Benjamin, and particularly David for hosting this evening in such a remarkable fashion. And it's true, that story about me, the spy. At show and tell, his teacher called me one day and said, you know, your son came and told me you were a spy. We assured him that you were a symphony conductor, but he absolutely insisted that you were a spy. I'd like to thank my children for making me humble. I'd also like to thank my ancestors from Russia and Germany, 8 of whom died in the Holocaust, for giving me a sense of tradition. My late parents, Lotta and Alex, I'm sure are looking down today and are truly proud of us, and we are proud of them. In addition to those Ardith mentioned, the Wises, Steinbergs, Franklin, and the JNF Committee, their staff, and ours in Brought Music, I'd like particularly to thank each and every one of you here and those from away who contributed to the support of the Music Conservatory in the Arva and the JNF. I'd like to express my warmest thanks to Sharon Azrieli Perez, the Garfinkel Brothers, and the National Academy Orchestra, who you will hear shortly. I am truly proud of my Jewish heritage, their sacrifice and accomplishment. I don't need to tell you that Israel is a jewel, a precious jewel of democracy and accomplishment amidst a sea of lawlessness and threat to our modern civilized world. I remember my first visit 29 years ago and visits since, both alone as a conductor and with my family. You know, it's a very special feeling growing up in a minority and finding yourself part of a fragile majority when you go to Israel. A wonderful feeling of freedom and of possibility. The JNF continues to contribute to this wonderful country as it has since its beginnings before the establishment of the State of Israel. I won't bore you with things you already know about the JNF, but they're an amazing organization. And when I go to Israel and see all that amazing green and this civilization that is truly world-class and First Nation in everything, it's largely due to the JNF and its enthusiasm. I'm also thrilled that the JNF has turned its attention to music, and particularly to provide exposure to music as a tool of social interaction. I truly hope the National Academy Orchestra, with which all of you are familiar, you know that these are young graduates of music programs from throughout the world who are Canadian and who come and spend the summers with us here, and we help them in their development, and then they go out. 1,500 of them have achieved employment all over the world, and we are indeed proud of them. It's no secret that I believe in the power of music for good in society. Music is our true global, international language. I point to Daniel Barenboim and the Eastern Divan Orchestra and their accomplishments bringing people together. I'm so grateful to all who have supported this Negev dinner and the contribution to the Arvai initiative. And I have to say, in answer to the young lady we saw in the film, that I would be only too delighted to come at the earliest possible moment and bring this wonderful orchestra along with me. Though my music making is global, Hamilton is our home. It's been said that no one is a prophet in their own land. Well, you tonight have disproved that adage. Ardith and I, in thanking all of you for being with us and for honoring us with this designation of Hamilton JNF 2013 honorees, pay tribute to you and thank you. It's now my great pleasure to invite you to share in the applause and welcome Sharon Azrieli, who will sing a couple of musical selections. They're in your program. I don't want to bore you with long introductions. Sharon Azrieli.
אוויר הרים צלול כיין, כריח אורנים, נישא ברוח הארבעים עם כל פעמונים. ובתרדמת אילן ואבן שבויה בדד יושבת ובליבה חומה. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. אך בבואי היום לשיר לך ולך לקשור כתרים, קטונתי מצעיר בנייך ומאחרון המשוררים. כי שמך צורב את השפתיים כנשיקת שרה, אם אשכחך ירושלים אשר כולה זהב. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, sing הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני
That was, of course, Jerusalem of Gold. It was a bit of a surprise to both Sharon and me because we thought it was the other piece that we were starting. And I started the orchestra and we both went, ah! But we found each other.
But being the consummate professionals that we are. Just a note on this next piece, this was written for the great tenors of the 1950s, Jan Pearce and Richard Tucker. And these were tenors who were just at home on the operatic stage as they were in the great synagogues. So it's a chazanut that you may remember or that you may have never heard before.
Shoo! אחד. והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו שנית. שנית לעיני כל חי. והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו שנית. והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו שנית. שנית, 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 שנית לעיני כל חי. שנית, שנית לעיני כל חי. והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו שנית. שנית, שנית, שנית לעיני כל חי. להיות לכם. להיות לכם. להיות לכם. להיות לכם.
I would like now to welcome to the stage Alex and Daniel Gorfinkel. They are discoveries of ours, Franklin Simkovets, mine, and a colleague from the Israel Philharmonic. And they truly are a treat. They are fresh out of the Israel Army, and they're here to absolutely stun you with their brilliance as clarinetists. Here is an arrangement of George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue.
Mm-hmm.